Chair. Make a motion that we approve the agenda.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approval of minutes.
I move to approve the minutes of April 24th, 2017, as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Correspondence.
I have none, Madam Chair.
I'm gonna have to just send you a letter so you don't see me reading it.
I think they advertise against or something. Please send me letters or something.
Don't advertise.
I get more than what I want. Yeah.
Public comment. Comment? Reports. 6th grade science fair.
Ms. Hutchison, are they all here?
Yeah, not all of them, we have a couple. We have Carly Vickerman and Jake Hamilton are here. So we had our science fair on May 26th and we picked 7 winners. We had some volunteers from the community that judged. They all did a great job. You guys want to talk about?
So you want to, usually they get up front, they have the board and they present, so.
Did you guys bring
It's
your
a tall order right now.
You did? Okay, did you bring your report?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Jake, do you want
Take up that second seat.
Okay.
So for my project, I did the
Hold on, let's see if we can get where everybody can see.
Here, we can move a chair.
We'll be creative here. Maybe we'll use Mr. Schulenberger's spot here. So the board and the audience can both see it.
That's right.
If we're both pulling it, it'll work.
These kids
So can everybody kind of see that? Get some good odds. You sure they're right, so.
so for my project, I did which high-end roto-molded cooler has the best ice retention: the LCSD7, the Arctic 65, and the Pelican 60. My procedure was I put 10 gallons of ice in each cooler and recorded which I opened them each day and took a picture of which cooler still has more ice. And so these are the results of the, this is the graph of how much ice they held each day. And the green is the LCSD7, the blue is the Arctic, and the orange is the Pelican. And as you can see, the Pelican held more ice over the 10-day period of the test.
They all still had ice though after 10 days.
Jake, what would you buy if you had to go buy a cooler? What would you buy after doing your project?
I buy the Arctic because it wasn't that far behind the Pelican, and the price of the Yeti is $449.99, and the price of the Pelican is $399.95, and the prices of the Arctic are the $199.99. And so I'd buy the Arctic because it wasn't that far behind the Pelican and it's less money.
He's his father's son. Good idea.
How did you measure the ice melt? How did you measure how much was in there? Or did you measure the water, or how did you, or the temperature, or what?
I measured the water in it. We drank water.
So you were assuming, okay. I see over there you say the results didn't come as a surprise.
No, not really. It all held about close to the same.
So did you have personal experience with any of those? Did you buy all 3 of them? And
No.
So, how did you borrow them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the Arctic was ours.
So did you tell the owner of the unit that before?
So all three chests about the same, relatively the same size?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good experiment. Very good.
Thanks.
Okay, great
And
job.
then you told us about it.
Good job. Okay, Ms. Hutchinson, you want to introduce our next?
Our next one, Carly Vickerman, and she did a really interesting one with dog drool. And funny story, I had a sticky note on my desk that said, please remember dog drool. Because I have a Great Dane, and so, anyway, I was out trying to collect dog drool, and my family said, what are you doing, Mom? But a really unique, interesting one, so, anyway.
So I wanted to see if dog saliva would kill germs better than hand sanitizer because we have a lot of dogs and I don't want them to give me puppy kisses if they have a dirty. So my procedures were with the lid on, turn a petri dish upside down. The lid will be on the bottom. Using a marker, label 2 of the petri dishes, saliva 1 and saliva 2, so you can put one of your prints in one of your prints in one hand in the other and the other one in the other. Then it says repeat step 2 for the other 4 petri dishes, labeling them control 1, control 2, and hand sanitizer 1 and 2. Next, get your hands as dirty as you can. Remember what you touched. Without touching anything else, put your fingers and thumbs into the 2 petri dishes labeled control 1 and control 2. Repeat step 4, but let your dog lick your hands before sticking them into petri dishes labeled saliva 1 and saliva 2. Repeat the last step, but wipe your hands with hand sanitizer wipes as many times as your dog lick your hand, putting your fingers and thumbs in the 2 petri dishes labeled sanitizer 1 and sanitizer 2. Then you place all 6 petri dishes on a cookie sheet and position the heat lamp above them to allow petri dishes to heat them for 3 days. And at the same time for the next 3 days, make sure that the petri dishes are in the same location and temperature. Record the information. And on day 1, it was 80 degrees, and the sanitizer was on the right, the control was in the middle of the pan, and the saliva was on the left. And the visual growth was that little change to the control and not a large growth to the saliva and hand sanitizer. And that was day 1. On day 2, the temperature was 80 degrees, and the saliva was on the right. The hand sanitizer was in the middle, and the control was on the left. And the saliva had a lot more growth. The saliva had a little growth, and the control had a lot of change in growth. On day 3, the temperature was 79, and controlled was on the right, saliva was in the middle, and sanitizer was on the left. The saliva had some growth. Controlled showed the most growth, and the sanitizer had some growth, but the least amount comparatively, killing the most germs.
Those are pretty good pictures, showing that growth in there.
So saliva had some control.
Yeah.
So do you have any idea how many minutes after you see your dog eating a cow pie and licking the face? Because that's really what I want.
Say definitely before 3 days.
Carly, tell them your background that you did. The dog's saliva has no effect. It does nothing but transport the dog
It
poo
moves the germ.
into the stomach. That's the only effect it has in the mouth. And she found all that out before, that its job isn't to digest or anything, so it would make no difference.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
So what is, can you read your conclusion, or just tidbits so I can? There we go. Does not kill germs as well. Should not let my dog give me kisses. Well, very good, thank you.
Thank you, Colin.
Nice.
And then Kaden Kinsley is here. Kaden did a fun, again, another unique project using her dog to test if different colors of bowls made a difference where they ate, or if they preferred eating out of a certain colored bowl, or if they could tell the difference. So it was a very interesting procedure and a lot of thought. So, Kaden.
Lots of research on dogs and
So I did do some research, and dogs can see color, but it is a limited color. They can see bright colors, which I did test some bright colors, but she didn't go to those ones as well as she did the other colors. And my hypothesis is that a dog will have a favorite color, a bowl to eat out of. My hypothesis was incorrect because she chose out of different bowls, but she did like the gray more than other bowls. And the purpose of this experiment is to determine whether or not a dog has a favorite color, and my procedures are put 6 different colors of bowls filled to the top with Dove's normal dog food on zebra mats. Let Dove play outside for 15 minutes, bring Dove in and record which bowl she ate out of from empty bowls and repeat the next day. And I did that for 8 days. And I did test some different dogs, but they did not have any effect on my project.
And you mixed them up every time, so the gray bowl was in a different,
Yeah.
she didn't just hit the first one.
We tested one dog, and she ate out of one bowl, then she ate out of the next, and she ate all of the food in each 6 bowls.
Oh my God. It's my kind of dog.
Right, she'd have to roll out of your house.
Kaden, was there a lot of things that you had to control in that investigation?
Yes, I did have to control like how many minutes she was out before I let her in, and you have to control how much dog food and which kind of food, because it wouldn't be very fair if I put bacon in the gray bowl and regular dog food in the yellow bowl. Oh.
Very interesting.
Good job.
Nice job. Kids, great job.
I wanted to acknowledge, even though I'm tardy, I was doing a presentation for class, the hard work that these teachers do to get these kids ready to go for the science fair. And our one 6th grader from Union came in and did a presentation as well. And I'm very thankful that Brett and Sammy continue to do this.
No, it's fun and the kids work really hard.
As you're scooping dog saliva, I bet you're really
It's all worth it.
Those are good, and those were different. All
Yeah,
three of them were
they were
very different.
unique and
I wonder what would have happened if you put the saliva in the cooler. Either it would have melted the ice or saved the earth, one of the two.
Depends on what color bowl it came out of.
Yes, what color cooler?
The orange.
Well, thank you, sixth grade. Thank you,
Thank you
Ms.
very
Hutchins.
much.
thank you for having us.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. All right.
ASB conference.
Mr. Hamilton, introduce Ms. Snyder.
Yeah, and the week or so ago, Ms. Snyder took a group of our middle school kids up to Portland for the state ASB conference, so I will turn it over to her and let her tell you about it a little bit.
Would you like me to stand or sit, whatever you like? I'm sure how you guys do this.
Crouch halfway.
I wasn't asking you, the board.
Oh, you wanted them to answer, sorry.
Okay. Well, so to do a little background on the student council. The student council we have in the middle school is made up of 7 students right now. We have 4 7th graders, Beth is one of them, and she's here to help me present. And then we have 3 8th graders. And so the election process happens in the fall, September. As soon as school kicks off, we kick off the campaign. They campaign for a week. Well, it's a week-long campaign. They give a speech, they hang up posters, and then the election. And so we've been doing that same process. And I believe, Mr. Cahill, you had that years ago, and we just followed suit as to what they did for year after year. So the election, we finish up the election, we go to a workshop, get these kids jazzed up, and then they start with their activities. And so activities this year have been canned food drive, raising money for the state convention. So the state convention costs a little over $1,000 with hotel and the whole bit. And so their big fundraiser this year was Italian sodas, which is a huge money-making market. If I go out of the teaching business, I am selling Italian sodas to middle schoolers. Because as you know, the 7th and 8th graders stay on campus, and so these guys are marketing to their student body. The student body loves it because they can't go anywhere, and so they're selling for $3 for each soda, and they're making nearly a profit of almost $300 each of their sales. And so that paid for our state conference, which takes place in the spring. I believe I've been to the state conference about 7 times, and it's pretty much the same agenda. The Oregon Association of Student Council puts it on, and they have 10 students and 11 adults that make up the board. And it's planned by the students with the help of the adults. And so that's really what makes it a success, is the middle schoolers and high schools who plan it. They're planning it for their own age. So it's huge, 1,000 students usually attend, and they were booked this year. They were full, they couldn't take any more schools. And so with that said, one of the mottos of OASC, which is the Oregon Association of Student Council, is act, serve, lead. And so everything revolves around leadership, acting, serving, leading, and it's just jam-packed with that idea in mind. Beth attended a few of the workshops, and is it okay if I turn it over to you? You want to talk about a couple of your workshops?
Sure. So we had at least 4 or 5 workshops that we went to, and they lasted about 45 minutes long. And the workshops were to give you ideas on what you could take back to your school and work on. And there was one that was about foster care, and you could raise stuff for foster care. We presented boards, and they gave us ideas, kids from different schools presented boards. There was how to get you ready for high school, and they lasted about 45 minutes long, and they had a student at each, 2 students from the board that helped with that, and we had split up into groups of 2, and we went to different workshops so we could bring different ideas so we could come to the school and maybe start those.
And so when we drove home, they have a dance plan for this week. And so Beth and Ella attend the foster love, I think it was, I can't remember the title of it, but
It was with love.
with love. And so to, I guess the idea was to help the foster families. And it was generated for Portland foster families, but so we're taking the idea with our dance that we're doing, because we don't need to raise money anymore for ourselves, that this fundraiser could be for the foster families in Lakeview. And so that's where we're going with the idea. The kids come back really jazzed to change the world, and then it's the end of the school year, so it's kind of our last thing that we can do. The kids enjoy it, and that's kind of what brings it back each time. There's always, one of the talks at OASC is this rise and fall of student leaders. And sometimes you have a whole bunch of kids that want to be involved, and sometimes you have classes that just, you don't know how to pull them in. And these state conventions, these workshops, that's kind of what I found that's really pulling the students to be leaders and to stay within the leadership and do these activities. And so I'm hoping I have that next year. And a handful of my other kiddos, my 7th graders, they're a great group, ready to work and serve, act and lead. So.
Is there anything you wanted to add? Did you cover it all?
It's really usually fun because it's not just like you have to go to workshops the whole time. They have dances planned, and they have, they'll get you like, they have a DJ and they have all that kind of stuff, and they'll get you to dance, and they have all types of fun stuff, so.
And they must serve Italian soda. I would think.
That's our thing. I should have shared that out loud. You guys might tap into that business, but anyway, it's a great business.
Good. Well, thank you very much.
Thanks a lot
Thanks for
the
going.
report.
Coop, did you want to say anything?
Just answer cute though.
He kind of wanted a project.
Does he need candy?
No,
Yep.
he's good.
Back and
Give me a accreditation report.
He could have actually. He's probably heard enough about it, yeah.
But before he does, I want to speak to something on that. I want to say how proud I am of Mr. Hamilton, the high school staff, and all the tons of hard work that went into this process. I went to the opening session on Wednesday last week, and it was a very impeccable show. The organization that went into it, the surveys, the groups and everything, and high school, well done. Thank you for everything you did.
So what I have for you guys is just a very, very preliminary slideshow that the lead evaluator sent me. I want to stress that it's very preliminary. She's got to rewrite it. It was just kind of a, here's what we ended up scoring on some stuff. And so I'm going to just kind of take you through this packet and kind of talk about the highs and the lows and go over all of our opportunities for improvement, our improvement priorities, and our powerful practices with you real fast. So the first page there, and sorry about the page numbers, there was some stuff that they had about the corporation or the organization that I took out that wasn't pertinent. But so the page numbers don't really line up very good. But the first one there, it's page 2. Just lists basically who is on our committee or on our team and their years and what they do. I apologize, I didn't make enough copies for everybody because it was fairly lengthy, so there will be some more stuff coming, but so I'll go through it and read as much as I can without completely boring you. Page 7 just talks about advanced ed and that organization and kind of what they do. Same with 8. They're all over the U.S. and actually all over the world. I cut that piece out of it, but they're pretty huge organization that does this throughout the country. And then it kind of breaks down who they serve on that next page with that pie chart. Elementary school, middle school, high school, things like that. So I'm going to take you to page, I think it's 12. No, the one right before page 12, so I guess that'd be 11. where it says balanced accreditation, that's where they're talking about the three main domains that they're looking at. Domain 1, impact of teaching and learning. That pertains to standards 3 and 5. Domain 2 is leadership capacity, and domain 3 is resource utilization. So page 12 is kind of just talks about some more about the team. They had 170 years of experience. So they conducted 91 interviews at our school, which I went to 3 accreditations, and none of the 3 that I went to were anywhere close to 91 interviews. So I think it's a testament to our staff. We tried to go into this, we tried to be as open as we could. I mean, I could have handpicked 5 certified members and 5 classified members, but we felt the value of it was the openness and letting people, and so I think that shows with the number of interviews that they were able to conduct. They talked to a whole bunch of students, so a pretty broad range of folks out there that they were able to talk to. So page 14, right after that is the Elliott ratings. I do not know, I can't remember what Elliott stands for, but basically it's the classroom observations that they do, and they had to do 20 of them. And as you can see there, the scale is, if you get a 4, it's very evident. You get a 3, it's evident. A 2 is somewhat evident, and a 1 is not observed. Now, I guess I got to throw this out there that they're in there for a snapshot of 15 to 20 minutes. Again, I felt like the validity of this was important for us. So I didn't want teachers to, they knew they were coming, so I didn't want them to create some new lesson, dog and pony show, just because the accreditation team was there. I wanted them to stay, you know, if they had something planned, that's what we wanted them to do. And you know, there were folks that they were reviewing tests, they were doing certain things, and I think that, to me, that's what you're going to see every day in a school. And so, the highest of our there's 7 classroom environments on these Elliots. The highest for us was well-managed environment and an active learning environment with a score of over 3, which is, for these observations, when you average them across the board and you have 7 different team members looking at 20 different classes, pretty good. Really, really good. The lowest of the 7, which is no surprise to us, is the digital learning environment, which is typically the lowest at any school, and it's going to be the lowest at our school, just with technology. So that was where that was at. So if you go to page 15, it actually shows you what our actual ratings were. There's the 7 domains. The AEN is the Advanced Ed Network. Basically, that's the national average. So as you can see in the first one, we were above the national average with a 2.8. 2, we were right there. You can follow down and see where we were on all of those, which pretty excited about those, actually. I mean, I go through, I have a little bit to base it on because I was at 3 other schools, and I thought 2 of the 3 other schools I was at were fantastic, and our numbers were better than them. So, pretty exciting there. Page 16 is an actual picture of what the Elliott looks like. That's the actual observation tool that was taken into classrooms and used. And so you can see equitable learning environment, you can read all those. And what they do is they just circle them, they go back into the workspace, and then they enter them into the computer, and then it tabulates those scores. Any questions so far on anything? Okay. So, like I said, I'm going to get a lot more detailed report. Debbie Egan, who was our lead evaluator, is in the process of writing that up, and then they'll submit it to us, and then it's a 30-day process to actually finalize. But we do see our actual index of educational quality rating, and we were at a 286, which is about a little over 10 points higher than the national average. So basically, we knocked it out of the park. The other schools I was at a school where we felt like, as a team, the external review team, they were top-notch, fantastic. It was another Southern Oregon school over in the Rogue Valley. I look back just to give me some frame of reference on where they fell. Their IEQ was 278. So, kind of tells you where we fell.
So there must be other factors in this because all of our
We'll get there.
7
There
are
is,
below
there's,
the national average.
there's some
but
more
we're
stuff, there's some more
above.
stuff, yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead, Rusty.
I'd like to interject a little bit. I've been involved in this process in several schools over my 30 years. And I can tell you that this is the only place I've been where they didn't put on the dog and pony show. And so when you look at results from other schools put a high priority on, this is accreditation, these people are coming, we want your best lessons, we really want to show engagement, those things that we think we're doing well. And people are handpicked, programs are handpicked to highlight for the accreditation team. Others are kind of slipped to the side and we really don't want you visiting there. And we were very, very transparent. We allowed every staff member to go and talk to them. We didn't handpick them. It was really everything we have to offer. And I think what's nice about that is that I've been in several other schools, as you guys know, and we kind of do what we think is best for kids here, not necessarily what the state thinks we should be doing that's best for kids. Our teachers have a lot of autonomy to do what's good for kids. And we didn't change that because accreditation came in. So I think this is really probably more valid than most accreditation visits you're going to see from what I've been involved in the past. So I'll throw that out there.
When they did the LA evaluations, they showed me, I gave them a copy of the master schedule, and during second period, they had every single teacher highlighted. They were going to get into every teacher's classroom second period who didn't have a prep. Now, I'm not positive they did that, but that was their, so like Rusty said, it was kind of, we were all over the place. So if you turn to the next page, page 18, Stephanie, that kind of addresses what the IEQ comes from.
Okay.
So the first one is Index of Educational Quality. That's the overall. Teaching and learning impact, that takes in our Elliott's right there. And on that one we were at 277. Our leadership capacity, we were at 305. And then our resource utilization was a 286. So that's where all of those come in, I believe. And I'm going to be honest, I don't understand completely everything yet on the scores. I just can give you the preliminary stuff on what she's sending me. But that is our overall score for sure. So now I'm going to get a little lengthy, really, and try to be as quick as I can with it. I think it's important to talk about our improvement priorities that we got and our opportunities for improvement and also our powerful practices. So the first improvement priority, and I'll just read this real quick just because not everybody has a copy. It encompassed standards 5.2, 5.3, and 5.4. And that was, the statement is develop, implement, and monitor the consistent use of a comprehensive student assessment system and train staff in the evaluation, interpretation, and use of data to inform instruction and to increase student success. That is where they think we need to focus, and more specifically, this is what they said. This is an improvement priority. We have 2 years to address it. As stated in the accreditation report and referenced in staff interviews, student performance data is collected from statewide assessments and student performance tasks. However, there's a need for locally developed interim and formative assessment. Professional development to support formative, interim, and performance task development and interpretation of data would support this action. In addition, there is a need to develop a systematic, purposeful way to utilize data to inform instruction. Analysis of data and guidance of instruction need to be integrated into professional learning community format, where staff works collaboratively to improve student outcomes. Lakeview High School has high statewide assessment scores and participation rates. To ensure continuation of this, as well as monitor progress of all subgroups, a systematic process to review student data, revise instruction, and monitor student learning needs need to be developed. This can be incorporated into existing PLC professional development strategies. Group analysis for various types of data to drive instruction increases student achievement. Improvement priority, that's the first one, and we knew that as a staff. We recognized that as a staff ahead of time. We rated ourselves low in that. So we recognize that, and there's some things that we look at in how we acquire data. What data do we acquire? How do we use it? How does it drive what we do? And we have a little bit of that. I mean, Tara Council does a phenomenal job with the statewide assessments and those things, but a little bit deeper, some more, interim type stuff, and tying that into our professional learning communities and some professional development. So that's what they're talking about there.
Seems like that's been a never-changing process of the assessments.
Yeah, it is.
And about time you're starting to get meaningful results,
Right.
Well, even at the state level,
Yeah.
Exactly.
they change it.
Yeah.
When you're comparing apples and oranges.
You're trying to hit a moving target.
And so I don't disagree with this. I mean,
Yeah.
everybody can do better,
Right.
and use data for that, but
Right.
is it really that?
And-
I mean, how valid is it from the standpoint that we can't ever get a baseline?
Mm-hmm. And you're gonna see this trend in all of these as we move forward. Almost all of our improvement priorities and opportunities for improvement, most of them revolve around data, the acquisition of it, what we use with it, things like that. And the other thing is, like with the PLCs, we're in a little bit of a tricky, sometimes our departments are one person. So it's a little bit problematic to have truly valid professional learning communities within those departments when you have one. And so we got to get creative with that. And those are some things that we knew and kind of embrace the improvement priority to take that next step. The next page, improvement priority 3.2. The statement is implement systematic processes and procedures for collecting, analyzing, and applying formative and summative data to make meaningful changes. And more specifically, their description says the accreditation report demonstrated a process for aligning instruction with assessment data is not implemented consistently. The self-assessment of this report indicated a level 2, and teacher interviews indicated an uncertainty as to what data should be collected and what system is needed to consistently review and use the data to drive instruction. Teachers also shared they have dedicated times to meet with the professional learning community once a month on early release Wednesdays, but due to the size of the school, teachers indicated that they work more as a singleton because there may be only one in that particular discipline. Teachers had indicated that training on formative and summative data may be helpful on these PLC early release Wednesdays. Systematic collection and use of data to inform instructional practices increases students' achievement. So, fairly similar, we know, and so that's kind of our marching orders moving forward in terms of our improvement priorities.
But this is a little, this indicates to me something just at our school, not necessarily dependent upon state or required.
Right, exactly. We do a good job with the state data, that Tara is on top of that, but it's a little bit deeper. It's those in-class assessments that drive, so, yeah.
Like RTI, would that be similar?
So the other ones that you participated in, was it fairly similar recommendations
Yeah.
as far as the state data?
Well, I didn't see any, if I remember right, I don't know if we wrote any specifically to data on any of these other ones. But they're all very similar, and so I guess I don't know the answer to that, because I don't recall any being strictly for like these. So I think each school has a little bit different areas that they need to focus on.
Does Avid fit into that at all?
Yes, and we are starting to collect Avid data, and so that'll help too. So there's some things, and they recognize that. There's just, give it a couple years and let's see what we look like. The next ones are opportunities for improvement. Now these are not anything we have to necessarily do. These are just suggestions. These are things that they've seen in interviews and in their visit. So the first one, opportunity for improvement, is standard 2.2 and 2.3. This one, the statement is the governing body operates responsibly and functions effectively to assure the school leadership has the autonomy to meet goals for achievement and instruction and to manage day-to-day operations effectively. So the description, they're more specific, is survey ratings indicated a need to continue evaluating and revising clearly defined role as to the operations of the school and the autonomy which school leadership to meet goals for achievement and instruction while managing the day-to-day operations of the school. Staff and parent surveys along with interviews indicated that the close relationship the governing body has in a small community sometimes directly affects autonomy in school operations at both the school and district level. Board training support such as those offered by OSBA are designed to assist school districts and schools in understanding the legal obligations of board members and their support of efficient and effective schools. Research indicates the school needs to develop and implement their plan autonomously to meet the needs for the specific students within their building. These plans need to promote research-based hiring practices, monitoring of instruction, and the daily health and well-being of their students. This local control allows for the day-to-day flexibility to ensure all students' needs are met both academically and emotionally. So again, these are just opportunities for improvement, just areas where they see, hey, we could do better here. So there's that one. And then the next opportunity for improvement, Standard 3.5, design and participate in school-wide collaborative learning communities to improve instruction. So this one, Interviews indicated there was time available for professional learning community meetings. However, there was not sufficient structure to the meetings to assure meeting outcomes affected instruction. Interviews with teachers uncovered the need for department teams or mixed teams of teachers to spend time examining student data to inform instruction. In order to improve instruction and student learning during these meetings, the teams will need to focus on the learning targets, student work, and teaching strategies and data that support those. The practice of effective professional learning meetings will have a great impact on student achievement and a strong sense of collaboration and effectiveness among staff. So that one, when I talked to her in our debrief, was again relating to the professional learning teams, the time, it wasn't a knock on our professional development in our organization. It was more of the time that they have in their teams. How do we make that more effective? And there's absolutely a need for that.
Well, because our teams are really pretty, I mean, what's the largest?
Math or science, or English, 3 or 4.
3 or 4.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
so we don't really have like,
Right.
department heads or anything that would set an agenda or,
Mm-hmm.
right.
Mm-hmm.
That's hard.
Sorry, these are getting lengthy, I'm trying. The third opportunity for improvement, this is from standards 3.3 and 3.4. Implement instructional strategies that promote deeper learning through the use of inquiry-based practices, collaboration, and critical thinking. School leaders incorporate consistent and regular classroom walkthroughs that focus on specific instructional strategies that will promote ongoing feedback and dialogue. So the description, it says, although there is an emphasis in incorporating avid WICR strategies school-wide, multiple classroom observations across different content areas revealed a heavier emphasis on the reading, writing, and organization components of WICR over inquiry and collaboration that promote deeper learning. The stakeholder interviews uncovered some inconsistency in the implementation of the deeper learning strategies and seemed to be teacher-dependent rather than school-wide. Interviews indicated it was clear that the mandated evaluation procedures are being followed. However, tracking and paperwork involved seem cumbersome and hinder the opportunity for more frequent walkthroughs. The regular and consistent walkthroughs followed by immediate feedback and authentic professional dialogue around specific instructional strategies will lead to improved instructional practices of teachers, deeper learning for students. Moving students from a culture of compliance in the classroom to deeper learning will strengthen student understanding, extend skill attainment, and increase the transferability of learning. Regular and consistent observation of teacher and student behaviors in the classroom, coupled with specific feedback and deeper questioning, will have a direct impact on the instructional culture of the school. So, our goals, this is completely directed at our AVID and what our goals have been. Writing, inquiry, collaboration, organization, and reading. We focus on writing, organization, and reading the first year and a half of AVID. And since we've started to work on the inquiry and the collaboration, and this is the one that I had a bit of an issue with on it, and it's again, those snapshots of an Elliott, they might not have seen a class collaborate for 15 minutes, so they wrote not evident in it. And so this one is, inquiry is one of our goals this year. That's something that we've focused on. We're on the right track on that one. Okay. Powerful practices. They wrote 4 powerful practices for us, which is by far more than any that I've been on. On any of the teams I've been on, nobody received 4 of them. The first one is out of section 5.5. Basically, it says school leaders monitor and communicate comprehensive information about student learning to stakeholders in a variety of settings. These include discussions with and reports to the Lake County School Board, the Lakeview High School Site Committee, and the AVID Site Team. There is strong evidence of effective communication with stakeholders and the community. A full-time assessment coordinator works with admin to disseminate learning data and communicate regularly with the community. Parents interviewed indicated extensive efforts to communicate regularly. So that's one of our powerful practices. Another one out of Standard 3, which is the teaching and learning. Staff and students have a relationship of mutual respect and trust and have established a good mentoring program. The description says both parent and student interviews reveal strong relationships with adults within their school. Staff and administration interviews indicate systems are in place to assure students' individual needs are met by having an adult mentor in their life at school. Student, staff, and parent surveys corroborate these interviews. These relationships have allowed the school to create a positive culture and a feeling of belonging that is strong amongst the student population. Strong relationships increase connection to school and desire to complete educational programs. I was happy to see that one. I think that relationships are important, and I've always thought that we do a good job with that, and I think that just lends to that. One powerful practice out of Standard 1.3 The statement is the school's leadership implements a continuous improvement process that provides clear direction for improving conditions that support student learning. The description says that school leaders have a documented, systematic, continuous improvement process for improving that supports student learning. Evidence of this process includes stakeholder groups working collaboratively and consistently in authentic and meaningful ways that are building the sustained ownership of the school's purpose and direction. This includes an analysis of data used to identify goals for improvement that is being collected from various sources, including all levels of stakeholder input. In many cases, this includes measurable achievement goals. Evidence shows that when all levels of leadership and stakeholders are collaboratively working together, that school improvement provides clear direction for improving conditions and that support student learning. And finally, our last powerful practice was out of section or standard 4.3. Lakeview High provides a safe, clean, and healthy environment for students and staff. In observing classrooms, I love you guys. Safety curriculum posters were prominently displayed next to the classroom doors. The posters outline the safety protocols in case of an emergency. Interviews indicate the curriculum is revisited every year during in-service week with school staff, and the staff shares this information with the students during the first week of school. Lakeview participates in monthly fire drills, a yearly reunification drill, 2 lockdown lockout drills, and they host monthly safety campus meetings as well. Maintenance of Lakeview is handled in a systematic fashion with maintenance requests completed and given to the principal for approval. Immediate needs are addressed quickly, and items that may need resources are prioritized based on the needs of the school. In canvassing the school, the restrooms, building grounds, and hallways were clean and safe, no issues noted. By promoting a safe and clean environment, these practices help to foster school culture that supports learning. So, a lot of good news out of that. A lot of positives. I mean, I think we did a good job. The committee felt that way. Do you guys have any questions on anything from this? Any of the opportunities for improvement? Anything like that?
Well, I think I just echo what Will said. Sure.
Thank you.
Well, sure, I don't think it was said, but Lakeview High School passed.
So before this process, I mean, after being part of it and others, did you sit down with some of your staff and kind of identify maybe some areas that you were thinking, I mean, identifying places maybe you can do an improvement? Was this in line with that, or?
Well, yeah, because the way we included staff in the assessment, because we have to do a self-assessment, and the way we included staff allowed us to do that without,
Okay.
I mean, because what we did is we took every staff member and we divided them into 3 groups. We divvied up standards. We were 1 and 2 together. Standard 3 was alone, and 4 and 5 were together. And we did a self-assessment on that, and everybody was involved. And so, yeah, we did. We got to see some of that. And additionally, we took some of that to site council. We took that to all of our different stakeholder groups to get that feedback and that input. So we had a good idea of where things were going to fall. Then we look at the stakeholder, the way we did the surveys, the way we had those. Our turnout for those surveys were, I don't know if we could have gotten them much better. I think every staff member did one. I mean, our staff percentage was huge. The parent percentage was big. We had a good turnout there. And the student percentage was really, really good because we were able to get each grade level with their contact teachers. So like, for instance, Ruth Ann had the 9th graders. Every 9th grader took a survey. And so we had a lot of feedback and kind of saw where some of those were beforehand.
Any surprises?
I don't think so. I thought we might have a little bit more need for improvement in our technology piece, so I guess that was a surprise for me. Just our infrastructure, just our stuff that we know, being, but I guess that was really the only surprise for me. What about you?
I would
Lonnie?
say that would be the one.
Yeah.
I kind of expected for them to have that as an area of improvement.
Yeah. Anything? Yeah. I mean.
Yeah.
So.
I think, though, they did make the comment, we were harder on ourselves on our self-evaluation.
Yeah, they did.
than they
They
were.
did say that.
They rated us higher on some stuff that we had us pretty low, so.
And this is every 2 years?
No, 5.
5 years.
If it was 2, I'm out. I'm done.
So it's something that you probably revisit every year or 2.
Absolutely, and I mean,
Kinda check your progress
Yeah.
and see where.
And we have to with those 2 areas, because those have to be addressed within 2 years. And there'll be some stuff coming from them on how we address that, what have we done, so, yeah.
Sounds pretty great.
Yeah.
Good job.
Thank you.
Good. Thanks very much, and again, congratulations.
Thank you.
Good job,
Your
guys.
entire building, that's,
Sleeping better now?
A little bit, a little bit.
Mr. Zizek, OSAA.
Will you be quicker than I will?
I'll try to be quicker. And he's not sleeping any better if you haven't seen the Giants record right now. It's a hard time to be a San Francisco Giants fan.
It's a rough time.
It's almost like being a Raiders fan for the last 20 years. When I pass it around, there's extras here if anybody else wants to look at them. You can take one and pass them on. This is the newest proposal by the OSAA. The last board meeting I was not at because I was at the OSAA or the OADA conference in Sun River, which is Oregon Athletic Directors Association. And during that conference, we had another classification meeting. Each classification was met at length about it. We met for a couple hours, and then we had to present to the committee what the overall findings were. Overall, most classifications supported a 6-class system like we currently are in, instead of the 5-class system that the committee had prior to this requested we go to. With that said, then they've made some adjustments, and this is the proposal that they've put out. We are going to be in a 6-class system still. Not my favorite, but I have reasons for that. And what you'll see there is the 6A has 53 schools, the 5A has 31 schools is all, 4A has 36, 3A has 38, 2A has 44, and the 1A is huge, it has 85 schools in it. Now, this is a starting point, and what's going to happen from this point is they're going to look at the numbers and adjusting those slightly, depending on what the needs of the classifications are, and also at league sizes. This to me was probably one of the worst scenarios that could come out for us because we're in a small league again. And in that small league, if you look at the 2A level, we're sitting on 6 teams in our league, and one of those teams is Candyville Christian, which I believe plays soccer. And I'm not sure if they play basketball. I haven't done my research on that part of it.
Yes.
But other than those 2 sports, I'm not sure what they participate in. Probably track and field would be a guess, and cross country. But they don't play football. And so you're left with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 football schools. My guess, if this was the one that would fly, I'm not sure Bonanza would play everybody in the league. They may still stay independent and play an independent schedule, which leaves us right where we're at now, which is 3 league football games, and having to scramble to find 5 non-league games. And that means a lot of travel, a lot of creative scheduling on our part to try to get those games. So I wasn't a fan of that. I like the other proposals because it forced teams into our league and gives us more home contests because they have to come to us. So you're going to see the same thing in basketball. We'll have one more team in this league in basketball, and so we will increase 1 home game for the boys and girls, but it's going to be really reliant on tournaments early in the season to find games. And the reason we like the tournaments early in the season versus individual games is you get them all bunched up at a weekend, and you get 3 or 4 days of practice in between that versus a game, a day off, a game, a day off, a game, a day off. It really makes it hard to get into a routine for the kids. So this is the current proposal. I think if you see anything in this, you may see a Rogue River drop down into this league, which is what I'm going to ask and be in favor of with the OSAA. Any questions on it?
Where was the push to stay at 6 was from the bigger schools?
No. No. So the 6A schools were adamantly against 6 classifications, they wanted 5.
Right, okay.
They were the only classification that was in favor. The 3A classification, which we're in now, was 21-19 in favor of staying 6, so it was pretty split. 2As were, it really depended on where you fell. And in all the years that I've been involved in this process and watched it, and there were years where I paid no attention to it because it just didn't change very often. In the last 16 years, it's gotten where it changes every single time we go through the process. But this was by far the most contentious process I've ever seen. And it really revolves around kind of what we're seeing with our kids a lot. It's a think of me first mentality and how do I get an advantage and to heck with everybody else. And it used to be in the day in Oregon where we took care of everybody in the association, and that meant teams are willing to travel. And you only really see that cooperation right now on this side of the mountains. You know, Burns gets it. They understand that they're gonna have to play Lakeview so that we both have games. And Burns understands if they bring their volleyball team to us and they're gonna win a state title again, and we're struggling in volleyball, they do the right thing by us. They play, they let our kids have some success. They still may win the match, but they're gonna take care of us because we need each other. The overall theme of the Greater Willamette Valley and the I-5 corridor was, let those guys settle their own problems. We don't want any part of it when we're not gonna travel. And that's kind of the mentality that went out, unfortunately.
There's a lot of, a handful of articles about some Salem schools not wanting to go to Bend.
Yeah.
I'm saying that's
Well,
closer
they
to
were-
any travel we do.
Back in the day, before Redmond split in with Ridgeview, Redmond was a 6A school, and they got put into Salem. And boy, that was unheard of. We have to travel over the mountain. Unfortunately, they travel over the mountain all the time. They want to come over in the springtime to play baseball, do track, play golf every weekend over in Central Oregon.
Go ski.
But how dare we have to go there and play basketball? So that became a safety issue, and so that was the issue. And it was amazing. We had people get up and testify, and actually in tears, about their kids are gonna have to travel an hour for a game. It's a different world. So,
We'd be in tears too, it'd be tears of joy.
and families got up and testified about the hardships, and I just think about how often I'm amazed at, we travel 3 to 4 hours, and I look up in the audience and see every one of our parents almost is represented there, and you just don't find that in some of these Willamette Valley areas. It's a different world, so it's kind of nice to be in this one, to be honest with you. So that's where we're at right now, but we'll do as much on Kristen as we can to try to get at least Rogue River down into our league so we have another league school to play. And it would be appropriate for them. They don't play football now in our league because they can't compete, and they're having a hard time competing in just about everything right now. So it'd be appropriate for them to drop to the 2A level if they'll allow it.
So just at the 2A level, there's 6 different leagues, which is pretty large compared to the other classifications.
Yeah,
Some of them only have 4, or,
yeah.
you know, without pulling out a map.
That's usually like the 4, like the 4A, that's because of isolation of that area,
Yeah,
the Greater Eastern Oregon area.
That's tough.
So you looked at this in detail enough with a map or with other 2A folks to see if, you know, cut that to 5 and build some of those a little bit?
Yeah, and the problem you will do with that is that the eastern half of the Oregon, the 2A, is not very good because we're going to include the northeastern corner to get those games. It would really involve some of the Willamette Valley, Oak Ridge, Oakland, coming down this way now. Lost River and Bonanza have been in with Monroe, as far up as Monroe and Oak Ridge and those guys. And what those guys did was really sabotage that. Oakland and Oak Ridge wanted no part of us being in their league and having to do that. And so that's where that kind of came, that's why you have that many leagues. The other proposal that came out had 1 fewer league. So the leagues were bigger, which is what we favored. We like that. Because my guess is, as a 2A school, mark my words, in the next 2 years, after this year, within 2 years after that, Oak Ridge will be playing us in football. They'll be playing us in certain things. They don't want to have to be told to do it. It'll be when they want, how they want. But they'll have to find games too, and they're the closest league to us, so it makes sense that we would play them some. So that's what I know right now.
When do they have to have this done?
It'll be finalized in the September meeting, voted on in the October delegate assembly meeting, which Jesse is one of the delegate assembly members, so he'll be voting on that. By then, it'll be a done deal.
Do you have any more questions? Thank you for
You're welcome.
advocating for us. Old business.
Have done, Madam Chair.
New business, 10.1.
Mr. Hamilton?
Avid and Boise College tour trip. Mr. Louie is going to take a group of the Avid 9th graders to Boise, visit some schools. It'll be a fairly quick trip. Leave on a Sunday, visit some schools Monday morning and come back that afternoon. Mr. Nash is generous enough to cover the expenses on that through the Lake County ESD and the College and Career Readiness Grant. So looking for your approval to be able to send those kids up there. They're gonna see, I believe they're gonna see Boise State and Treasure Valley and College of Idaho. They're gonna get to see 3 schools in a one quick trip, so pretty valuable trip for them, I think.
I move to approve the Apple Boise College field trip as presented.
One second.
Any other discussion, questions? All in favor?
Right.
Thank you. Lake County School District number 7, KCC LCRI lease agreement.
Okay, just a briefing left over from the work session. We're going to enter into a lease agreement with KCC and LCRI to benefit us in procuring funding to the Ford Family Foundation to finish up and hopefully seek grant funding to finish the main forward KCC is currently occupying. What this does, we set forth a lease agreement with them a year ago, and this replaces that lease agreement. I believe we approved that back in November 2015 actually. And so that is one thing we'll be adding to this agreement as an amendment. It will say we'll replace the original lease agreement set forth between LCRI and Lake County School District 7 of the original date of the lease. That's going to be amendment number 1. Amendment number 2 is going to be over just a point of clarification in regard to the support of the Lake County Commissioners in this. 6.4, the Lake County Board of Commissioners financial obligation to the Lake KCC campus. That basically, brings in and explains the role of the Lake County Commissioners in this process as far as the amount of money that they present to the KCC program each year. So with that, I know we discussed it in the work session, but I will entertain more questions if you have any. So my recommendation on the motion, and I put it out there, is to the motion that we put in the packet for you. It says LCSD number 7, KCC and LCR is presented. I would change presented to as amended.
Any motion?
I move to approve the lease agreement between LCSD number 7, KCC, and LCRI as amended.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Daryl, love that one. Consent agenda.
Is there for your approval.
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
All in favor?
Aye.
Announcements.
You're on budget meeting person.
Budget meeting Wednesday, 6.
Here.
Pack a lunch. I'm just kidding.
You mean dinner?
No, she's not.
Well, if you have to pack a lunch, you've got your breakfast in there too.
Maybe. It's here. Okay. Yes. 6 o'clock.
Get some coffee.
Absolutely. Well, Tandy, hook us up with some coffee.
Okay.
Okay.
If I may, I want to put out an announcement too, real quick. A reminder that it is Teacher Appreciation Week. We're doing a number of activities across the district this week to honor the fine work that our teachers do for this district.
So are there lunches at the school?
Principals, activities this week for Teacher Appreciation Week.
Ruth Ann, what? No, I'm just.
He keeps asking.
We're gonna have a staff lunch. We'll do a staff lunch and have some goodies down at our end on Friday.
We had a lot of donuts today.
We did have a lot of
We
donuts.
don't need any more donuts.
Some
And leadership's
more.
doing some stuff, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys.
Well, it's Mrs. Mize's leadership class is doing some stuff
Yeah.
for as well throughout the week, so we got all kinds of stuff going.
Okay.
It all revolves around food I can't eat.
Yeah.
Oh, so you didn't appreciate the candy bar?
Elementary.
Take 5.
I know, I gave it to Maggie.
She appreciated it. There were treats in the staff room at all the surface schools. And then Mr. Kato and his crew down here brought cups for all the teachers today for Teacher Appreciation Week. Students are making some stuff for them, and then the classified staff is doing a luncheon on Thursday, and the Parents Club is doing activities at the Beacon in conjunction with coordinating together doing that. And Union's Parents Club does all of the teacher appreciation stuff, something each day for them.
Okay. Any other announcements? Next board meeting, agenda items?
Well, this athletics work session, it's a tough time getting all the major players to all align at the same time. So it's gonna be moved to June 12th meeting. Hopefully all the folks will be there for that.
June 12th?
June 12th. So that's the news on that. We will try to give you a COIC update. We're going to give you an avid tour report. We're going to kick in a 6th grade field trip volunteer that night. Mrs. Chavez is going to give you the Lake County School District 7 annual counselor report. Hopefully I will have some news as far as legislative news.
This is for the 22nd?
Yeah, May 22nd. And then Mrs. Chavez will also have the COIC year-end report. Anything else, principals, or Mr. Zizit, or Mrs. Chavez?
We were, the extended school year for special ed report.
Okay.
Okay, so without athletics, we don't have a work session at 5:30, correct?
We may possibly have an executive session tonight. I will notify all of you on that.
Just trying to think of those are negotiations.
We may have
So we have
Fair.
25th, but then like the 30th, right?
The 31st.
Maybe it's the 31st,
I
yeah.
think it's the 31st. The 24th.
No, budget meeting's the 24th.
I won't be here, so I'm sure it's not then.
Well, we probably need to do
All right.
it.
I have a,
So I'm gonna, we'll be in executive session.
I have a letter from the school board, I have something for the next meeting. I don't know where, they're asking us to sign a resolution to, do away with Smarter Balance. So, I just need to read it into the,
Okay.
this will be new business. I can give it to you.
I do want to let everybody know, district track meet this weekend, Friday and Saturday here. We hosted. Some people be running the pole vault.
3 o'clock. 3 o'clock on the 30th.
Thanks.
Let me give you a plug.
Hello, Dave.
Yeah, I'll be signing me up like 6 months ago.
Okay, anything else for the next meeting?
We'll have an ASB report.
Okay. Anything else?
Possibility some new hires too.
Fingers crossed.
That's one the word possibility out, so.
You wanna have an 11 report on the college trip?
Yep, it's, yeah, he's,
Was it? Yeah,
it's on there,
yeah.
yep, they will be here.
Yeah.
We're talking about colleges.
All right. Adjournment? Oh,
I move we adjourn the meeting.
second. All in favor?
Thank you, board, thank you, everybody.
Yep, thank you.
I don't know what that